Basically, when you ask a manager, a team leader, a supervisor, what's the worst aspect of your job? It's always having those difficult conversations. Nobody ever says, well, I love it, Viv, when there's some real issues with their behavior and performance and I've got to tell them. Nobody ever says that. It's those difficult ones. And I'm going to give you loads of ideas on how you can manage this in a low-risk way so it doesn't destroy the relationship. They don't go off on a sickie for 3 months. You don't end up being accused of bullying and harassment. They don't throw a grievance at you, and they don't scream down the corridors going for the union rep, nor do you read feedback from them in the form of graffiti on the toilet wall. You know, I've got some nice low-risk strategies. But the first thing I'm going to do is get you involved in. I think it's a very valuable topic. We're dealing here with the most expensive resource that you've got. It is a complex resource, and it's the only resource you've got that can work deliberately against you if it wants to. You might think the computer's doing that sometimes, but it isn't. The human being can, so you want it on your side. Now, in terms of performance, and this leads up to our first activity, again, I'm going to get you involved in designing our first sketch. I see performance in 3 things, okay? And the flip chart here. Basically, what we're looking at, here's the expected level and here's the actual. So is the gap. And we want it filled. Some problems here. Maybe that wasn't ever defined. But I think what we've got to do is look at this in 3 ways. I always see performance in 3 ways. This is where they're not doing their job in terms of quality or quantity. You can define it, you can see it. It's objective, not subjective. It's identifiable. There it is in black and white. You haven't done this in terms of the quality result. You're giving it too many mistakes. You're not being there on time. It's tangible. Perhaps you could say this is one of the easiest ones, because the middle one, and I'm sure you've probably not met many people like this in your life. These are people who perhaps do that. Yeah, technically, administratively, they may be on the ball. That's not the problem. It's the people who can gloom for Britain. You know, negative, you can, with just sometimes their body language, they can ooze gloom as they enter the working environment and sap everyone of the will to live. I'm sure, again, you haven't got anyone like that in your workplace, but just in case, we have some strategies for you, which are legal and ethical. Now, if you're really unlucky, you've got a combo of this and this. They're gloomy and they're bad. In fact, what's worse is these people here, they're a problem too. They're absent. You know, they would be either of these if only they turn up. That's the third type. For this session, we'll concentrate on these 2, quality and quantity, and attitude and behaviour. And I think we'd all agree that that's possibly, on the face of it, one of the most difficult to deal with, only because it's so woolly. It's intangible, but we're not going to shy away from it. I will say this, just reflect on yourself and just think, have any of us really ever been in that category? Because looking back, I have to say, I think now I can say it, I was that person. I can say it now, 20, 25 years on, but yeah, I think I was that person. I've actually emailed my own boss and apologised, but I think he's dead now, actually. So this is what I want you to do to help us. Let's get some context, characters, which are real, things that you can connect with and engage with. I want you to think about, in your teams, when people are not performing up to the expected standard, what is it they're not doing? And let's have some tangibles. They're not doing this X, Y, Z. Include in that, please, some behaviours as well. I mentioned the hospital contract we have. We call it just better behaviours. And the reason we call it that is that they've admitted they can handle the tangibles. It's when people have got bad behaviour. They really do need some assistance and support. How do I deal with this person? Because the natural, the managerial stuff which says do this, this, this and this, it doesn't work for me. They say, Viv, I want to kill them. I want to wring their neck. You know, so please help me. Okay, so on your tables, just for 3 or 4 minutes, what I want you to do is discuss what are your typical poor performing situations, and then we'll get some feedback. That will be fed back to my 2 colleagues, and we can use that as ingredients for one of the sketches this afternoon. So off you go, you have 5 minutes. This is good for a cathartic offload. Try not to mention any names. Right, everyone. The underperformers, probably the most difficult thing that a team leader, supervisor, manager has to do. And I'm going to confess here that when I was head of department at Solihull, I chose to teach other people how to manage rather than do it myself, because I found it much more fun and a lot easier as well. So, let's go around a few tables. What sort of underperformance examples have we got? Loss of engagement?
Conscientious approach, pride in their job, looking at the big picture,
don't just plug in the cable and leave the room. Be conscientious, have a pride in the job. Yeah, that ingrained in their job. Not just the people often say they do the bare minimum and go. They don't look around. Job's worth. Look around. They don't look around to what else needs doing. It's like, look at the clock, done the job, off. Okay. What did we have? Anything on here? Bare minimum. Yeah. Minimalistic. Seems to be a pattern here, doesn't there? People who are just cruising. Yeah, it's an interesting one, that, because in a way, I suppose it might be a problem if all staff are real go-getters and motivated and wanted promotion. You do need the foot soldiers. In fact, they're possibly the most difficult. The cruisers are the difficult ones if they're really cruising, because what carrots do you offer? You have to look for something else to try and engage them. This table here, what sort of examples did you have? Okay, a manager who won't communicate and then they complain about him. Okay, did you say text? He texts? Oh, the text. Okay, I thought you said he texts everyone. Communicate by text. Okay, thank you. What did you have on your table? So,
following instructions that has clearly defined parameters.
Okay, so that's underperformance. The following instructions have... Oh, they haven't, sorry, they haven't followed it. Okay, for whatever reason they haven't. And it's always interesting. The question is it can't do or won't do? Can't do is capability, won't do is conduct. The trouble is they might not know themselves, and it might be a confidence issue. It might be a pride issue. I don't want to make the simple complicated, but we could get deep. What did you have?
Going early and long lunches, and it was all the same person.
All right, lateness, going early, and long breaks, long lunches as well. Okay, what did you have?
Trust to do routine work.
Not trusted to do routine work. Okay, okay. This table, what do we have?
It was actually the specialist, the person that is actually performing really well, but not actually adhering to any sort of processes or protocols. And so they're doing a really good job, they're really specialist, you really need them, but trying to run a project around them is like a nonsense.
Okay, so not adhering to protocols, they're doing a good job in their terms. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You do need people like that. Okay. It's the impact on the team. Okay. I mean, I must admit, I used to work with a colleague. She was always late. Always. But when she arrived, she moved heaven and earth. And she was the best saleswoman that we worked with. So the rest of the team used to get at me and say, you don't say anything about her coming in late. And I used to say, I will do, I will do. But the point was, I actually, truth to tell, did not care. She had the odd sick day as well, and I knew she wasn't sick. I didn't deep down care, because I knew that in terms of outputs and productivity, she was soaring way ahead of everybody else. And that was a nice little complication as well. Okay, any on this table? People who are not thinking for themselves. Okay, you were nodding there. Was that yours? There's a hole in my bucket.
The guy who rushes in without adequate planning, screws it up a bit, has such a high opinion of his own abilities, it couldn't possibly be him, and blames everybody else.
Seems to be a few people nodding in agreement about that. The guy who rushes round can't possibly be him. He has such a high opinion of himself, it can't possibly be him. Yes?
Probably like a lot of you, we have an automated ticketing system for requests and problems. Two sorts of people. The ones that say, look how much I've done, because they've cherry-picked all the easy jobs. And those who sit there going, well, it's assigned to the group and I'm a member of that group, but it's not assigned to me, therefore I shan't pick it up.
Okay. Most of these I noticed there doesn't seem to be too many really bad negative ones, but a lot of people who are fairly indifferent and just not engaging on a professional level that you would like. Now, I think while you were doing that work, I started to drop on the desk what I called it the ideas. I've whittled it down to 2 pages. I used to give people big fat handouts, and you know what? I really don't think people go home and curl up on the couch with it. So I've given you the executive summary of what I think you can do. And I'm just going to pinpoint, I'm not going to go through it, I'm just going to explain my favourite, which has been adopted by several county and city councils as the standard method that their managers are adopting as ways of getting feedback and improving the performance. Now, it's a 2-page document. They are deliberately called options. Nobody can ever say to you, look, say this to them in this way at this time and it will work. Life's not like that. You know them, and these are all fairly low risk options that shouldn't have them screaming through the doors accusing you of all sorts of things. Now, my favorite one is based on a concept called a learning conversation, and let me just explain it. You can cherry pick elements of it, but basically you can say to someone, okay, look, out of 5, where would you, well, you know, let's say we could pick something like as a team member, or out of 5 as a provider of a service, where would you say you were? 5 is really good, 1 is fairly shocking. Where are you on the scale? And someone answers. The real delusional ones will give you 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5. Quite often people don't. People tend to undermark themselves, in fact. So you've got a figure there. Now, believe me, it doesn't actually matter what they've said. If they've given themselves 5 out of 5 consistently, I think you've got a problem on your hand there. And it's like the one over there, you know, I'm marvellous. That needs a separate conversation altogether. But now this learning conversation type of approach borrows 2 rules from counselling, okay, which may sound a bit strange. If you're going to do it in its pure sense, and you don't have to, A, you don't judge, and B, you don't prescribe. You get the answers to come from them. You bat it back. Everything comes from them. So, they've said, I give myself 3 out of 5. And you say, okay, 3 out of 5. So obviously you're getting some results. What outputs are you getting at the moment? What warrants the 3? What manifests the 3? How can you tell? You're asking them for evidence. And my favourite question of all is, what would it look like if it was 5 out of 5? You're asking them to clarify the standard, excellence, what it looks like. So then the question is, okay, you've given yourself 3, you've explained what 5 out of 5 is. What ideas have you got to move towards 5? And how can I help you with that? You may even go deeper and say, well, what tools and techniques and strategies are you using to get yourself to 3 at the moment? What else is out there? What else can you use? Now, you might think, well, this is all very well for standard quality and quantity of goods. What about behaviours? Well, what we advise is that if it is behaviours, you use the 1 to 5 in a different way. You say things like, job satisfaction. Out of 5, 5 is ecstatic here, very happy. And 1 is semi-suicidal. Where do you feel on the scale? So they give you something, probably surprise you and give themselves 2, and you thought it was off the scale. 2, okay, good. Let's talk about what you like about the job, though. What's great about here? How does it show? What does 5 out of 5 look like? Okay, might be a wish list, but there you go. What can we do? Better still if you say, what can you do to move towards that? And that starts to identify what's inside your control and what isn't. So what you're using is, there's 2 ways of dealing with this: ask and tell. And what we're advising is that the ask approach rather than the tell. And I'm not saying it always works, and I'm not saying it's universally going to get results, but I think it's quite adult. And I'm just going to stop there, because if anyone asks me to do discipline interviewing, I start with this method. If they ask me to do coaching, I start with this method. If they ask me to do staff appraisals, I start with this method. And certainly for performance management, it's up there as well as one of my favourites. I'll just put this question to you. Rather than the traditional, I'll tell you where you're going wrong and then tell you what I think you ought to do, what benefits do you think this approach might bring you? Anyone like to identify? Ask rather than tell. Gets them thinking in a way that you probably won't. I don't normally think and reflect upon my performance by the hour on the hour. I'm sorry, I'm normally thinking, what way home am I going tonight? And what am I having for my tea? What's on the telly tonight? Maybe I should reflect more than I do, but it takes somebody to actually go through that process sometimes to help you reflect. Can you think of any other benefits in just using this technique? It's, you get buy-in, you get buy-in. Hopefully, unless you're really clever at asking the questions in a really patronising way, it is very adult, and you get buy-in, you get ownership. And also, the answers and the suggestions that they give might be more realistic. Now, if they're stuck, and they may well be, because if they've been doing the job a long time, maybe they are on a treadmill and they don't understand, maybe then you can, if you're stuck, go into, you could say, well, how about, well, here's some suggestions. Let's evaluate them. Which of these would you like? And I did hear one manager once say, you know, have a think about where you're going to go here. And I'll tell you this, I guarantee this, as your manager, in my capacity as your manager, I'll support you in whatever you want to do. And I thought that was a nice expression to use. And I think my other favourite is you get the standard of performance that you are willing to tolerate. Decide what's the limit, what's the bottom line here? Because the longer you tolerate it, an option is to, and I think, and challenge me on this, I think the most favourite option, and I'm not guiltless, I've used it myself, is to say absolutely nothing and hope it will all go away. And I've used that one. Because I've been too frightened to say anything in case it made things worse and rocked the boat. So that we all know. I won't go through the list of why that isn't an option, but it's certainly a sign of often weakness, and it doesn't work in the long run. So are we convinced about that one? There will be some others on here that one is ask the right questions. Halfway down, number 1, using the 1 to 5 scale about their performance and the behaviour. Now, maybe it's time, same as before, identify where you are impressed and where you're not impressed. And then we'll give Jeff some advice. Just before we do that, one of my favourite models, and I will show you it now just in case I forget. I did a deal with a local college and I said, I'll tell you what, let's form a partnership here. You give me all your handouts on performance management and I'll give you mine. And I gave them all mine, it was pages and pages. And then they gave me theirs, and it was 1 page. Just a model. But I have to say it was a good model, and I loved the simplicity of it, so I'll just share it with you. Basically, it said this: when people are not performing, there's only 3 possible reasons. Top 1, lack of clarity. The standard isn't defined. They don't know what the standard is. They don't know what they're doing. It's not clear. This one, motivation. And this one, capability. They haven't got the skills or knowledge or confidence to do it. And I loved the simplicity of that, so I thought I would share that one with you. Which of those is it? It could be all of them. It could be just 2. But I think most underperformance stems from something in that model. So let's get back to Jeff. We're going to watch Jeff and identify what we think Jeff is doing well. He has a staff member that you may recognise, and we'll see how he deals with the staff member as she's dealing with a customer.
Here, Sandra, for you. Max, I did it. Yeah, you asked me to go and check it on Friday. I checked it on Friday. Well, I can't help what went wrong between me checking it on Friday and you using it on Saturday, can I? It's not my fault. Yes, I checked everything. Yes, I did. You said, come in Friday afternoon, check it. I came in Friday afternoon, I checked it. I can't do any more unless I actually move into the place, can I? Well, there you go then. Well, I'm sorry it didn't work on Saturday, but that's not my fault, is it, Max? Yeah, we got a message through for that, yeah. Somebody else is dealing with that. Yeah, they did this morning, yeah. Yeah, they're looking into it at the moment. Anything else I can help you with? No? Right, fine. Okay, bye.
Sandra, morning.
All right.
How's things going on? A tricky call, was it?
Oh, it's Max, you know what he's like.
Oh, God, yes, he's an idiot, isn't he?
Yeah,
Absolutely
he
idiot.
is.
Yeah, good. So nothing too troubling, he wasn't...
No, he wanted me to check the stuff over Friday for his Saturday lecture.
Yes.
I did.
And
he said it didn't work Saturday.
And what else did he ask you that someone else is doing?
Oh, he sent the job through this morning.
Right, okay, so it's a bit of a tight deadline, I suppose, really, for
Well,
you
I
to
don't
do.
know, I just passed it on to Steve, to be honest.
Yeah, probably best. Just
Yeah,
pass
that's
everything
what
on
I
to
thought.
Steve.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
Well, he does, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
He's a smart kid.
He is, yes. I tell you what,
Well,
Sandra,
you know.
why don't you go and have a break? It must be nearly your break time.
Okay.
And then we'll get together and we'll have a little bit of a chat. There's just a few things that I wanted to talk to you about, if that's all right, if you're free and you have the time.
I'm free and I've got time for a break, yeah?
No, sorry, after the break. After the break
Oh,
time.
you want me to come back and
Yes,
right,
come
I
back
see what
and
you're
we'll
saying,
have a
yeah.
little bit of a
Yeah, I
conversation.
suppose we could do that.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yes, fine, thank you.
Yeah, no
I'll
problem,
put
Chef.
I'll put this through. Don't worry about that. Hello? Boo, don't terrify me, you're at the front. I've got a bit of an issue with one of my staff members, Sandra, who, to be honest with you, there's a little bit of a performance issue there.
I think we've actually seen Sandra in action.
Have you? So
earlier.
you know exactly what she's like? Yeah, she's a nightmare. She's an absolute nightmare. Difficult to control. Not that management is about controlling, but, you know,
Yeah.
difficult about how to control.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, any advice or guidance you could have? 'Cause she's coasting at the moment. She's coasting, she's bored, and she's rude. And not necessarily in that order.
Can I ask what her good points are? What does...
A good point. Yes, she's a bit like a rabid dog at times.
Yeah.
And sometimes customers need that. I recognise that completely.
Okay.
Sometimes they need a good tearing.
Right,
That
okay.
is true. I don't have that approach myself,
No.
but certainly Sandra can do that.
Can I ask you... It's Jeff, isn't it?
It is Jeff,
Jeff,
yes.
can I ask you what you do to motivate Sandra?
What do I do to motivate her? Krispy Kreme donuts. Yeah.
Oh,
See, he uses them.
Yeah, so it's fairly... it's technical, this. Yeah.
It's not technical stuff. This is the soft stuff that I do to motivate my staff.
But it hasn't worked.
Well, not with Sandra, although, you know, she has up to dress size. Depends what you like, doesn't it, really?
Yeah. Can I just ask you, what are you going to say to her when you see her after the break?
Well, that's what I was hoping some people here could help me with, to be honest. I was hoping you might have some ideas about how I can deal with that, which you know, is shirking some responsibilities, being a little bit lazy, saying somebody else is doing that, not stepping forward and doing things, coasting. You know, I haven't got many things, you know.
Can I just make a note?
Yes, of course.
She's a poor woman. There's a catalogue of criticism here, isn't it?
No.
can't
This
believe-
is performance management.
Yeah, I know, but
It looks
this
like
this is
criticism.
just
We just have to dress it
this
up
is
right.
just Sandra, is it?
Yes.
So what would you say? She's lazy.
Well, I wouldn't say she was lazy. That's your word.
Okay.
I'd say, you know, she doesn't put herself forward sometimes to do things. She's coasting a little bit. You know, she can be rude at times.
Yeah.
Which on its own, that's not a terrible characteristic. I realise that, you know.
Well, it is if you want to be customer centred.
Yes, but if you're like me, sometimes you like being on the receiving end, which I do.
Really?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Any
It
more?
toughens you up. It toughens you up in the work environment.
Okay. I'm not sure about that, but any more here? Performance issues.
What else I've given
Have you got any specifics? I mean,
Yes,
only-
she has no pride in her work at all. You know,
I think
she
we
does
have
the
witnessed
bare
that.
she does the bare minimum
Yeah.
of actual work.
Yeah.
Doesn't go the extra mile.
Yeah.
But you know, she's been here longest, so
Yeah.
can't get rid of her.
Well, would you want to?
No, I didn't say that.
No.
Did I say that? No, didn't
No,
say
it's
that.
probably cost a lot of money to train her and get her up to this bad standard.
Exactly.
Look,
What?
I tell you what.
Yes.
Give us a couple of minutes. Just give us 5 minutes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the groups on the tables to come up with ideas for
For
you.
me? Yeah,
Right.
that'd be great. If
Now,
you could,
look,
that'd be wonderful.
I'm actually going to do two things because I think this could be quite helpful. First of all, for the conversation
Yes.
with Sandra, what strategies and tools can he use in terms of even down to the questions to ask, and some long-term strategies to avoid this happening in the future? Okay? So we get some long-term. Because I'm sure if she is the only one, I'd be very surprised.
I don't mean to paint her in a bad light.
Well, you have,
know.
but
well,
yeah.
Well, the
Yeah.
truth hurts.
I
doesn't
know,
it? The
yeah.
truth can hurt.
Okay. Can I just ask you another question?
Yes.
How have you dealt with it so far?
Mainly sort of avoidance
Avoidance.
of situation.
Okay.
There's been very little bloodletting.
So she thinks she's doing okay.
Well, I don't know about that. She has some insight into her position. Some of it is willful laziness.
Willful laziness.
I would say,
Well, you
yes.
see, because I put lazy down there, and you said you wouldn't say she was lazy, so I put the lazy in the brackets, but we'll leave that there.
Well, you
Look-
probably infected me with your words.
But, okay, look, Jeff, we're going to
Yes.
help here. I'm going to give the group 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
It's not a lot as well to set the world on fire. I've given them a hand out there. You can use it or not. Maybe just use your own experience and common sense. Two things here. Some ideas for Jeff and how we can approach Sandra in this meeting. You know, some strategies here. And then some ideas, some bullet points, some long-term strategies so we can avoid this loss. So we can have a high-performance culture within his team. What can he do? And make it easy. So give us 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Jeff.
I'll give you
Look
5
at
minutes,
The,
certainly.
look at the talent in the room and the wealth of experience that's going to be helped. The tap into.
Where?
Well, here. There's a
Right.
lot. There's
Certainly
cube-
over here.
a
Guy with his
cube-
head in his hands.
What? What there?
He had his head in his hands then.
Did he?
So he
that's
was lively to start with,
that's
then he
called-
faded.
That's called feedback.
Is it feedback?
Okay.
It's always a gift.
5 minutes, and let's see what we come up with. Okay.
Okay,
From your own
okay,
experience,
thank you.
common sense. If you want to dip into the handout, that's fine. Or you even use the internet, and then we'll look at and we'll evaluate them and give them our best. Okay. Off you go. Jeff, have a seat.
Yes.
Jeff, the group, Jeff, once
Yes.
again. Do we have our scribe for us again? Hey!
Yay.
Let's hear it for the scribe.
Yay.
Okay, now, what we're doing here is suggestions. Oh, yes, move the... I don't know who brought that dirty cup in. Ideas for Jeff. Who's admitted that he doesn't motivate her very much, apart from, what was it, cake?
Krispy Kreme. Yes.
Okay,
And some cakes sometimes. Depends how I'm off for money, really.
okay.
Yeah.
And has admitted that he hasn't actually tried anything so far.
Well, no, I was going to send her on a training course, but of course, you know, it's so difficult to find a good trainer. I mean, you wouldn't know anyone, would you?
Have
Not
a word
come
with you
across any?
later. Have a word with you later. Okay.
Say yes, Jeff Paul. Thank you.
Okay, so the conversation with Sandra. Ideas. Yes, at the back.
Yes. Yes. So I know it's going to be difficult, but I haven't prepared myself for it.
Plan and prepare.
That's not strictly true. My choice of clothing was very robust.
So plan,
And that goes throughout the outfit.
Number one, absolutely, number one is always plan and prepare. Don't be bounced into anything. What are you going to say? What's the happy outcome from this? What questions are you going to ask? What's your contingency plans? You know, what is it you're after? Define how a successful conversation will end. We expect an awful lot from one conversation. Sometimes what we do is plant some seeds, you know, just start to find out what's inside their head.
Can I just say, this was management sort of on the hoof, though, in an improvisatory kind of way, because I just observed her, so I was keen to give her
absolutely,
some
Jeff. You
feedback.
bought yourself some time, and that's great. You can talk to these people, yes.
Yes.
Another idea, then. Yes, sir, and then you, yes. Yeah, have a distinct time and have a proper conversation instead of just walking into the office. And,
I like to think all my time belongs to my staff.
Yeah. Can you...
That's not bullshit, that's true.
Okay, but it's just formalise it a little bit. This is important. And
Formalise the discussion a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Over there, somebody put their hands up, yes. Okay, if you've observed what you think is wrong, identify that back to her.
Well, I think it's wrong that she's consistently late. I don't know if I mentioned that previously.
Oh, she's late as well.
She can be consistently late. Yeah, sometimes only a minute or two. But I wait there for 10 minutes sometimes, just looking out the window to see how late she's going to be.
Right. Okay. I don't know who's
So
the sad
I do have
there,
the facts
really.
and figures
Okay.
at my fingertips.
If you have got a crack catalogue like this, I think it goes without saying is you pick the top two. You don't go for the whole lot. It's not going to work. Okay, you say, which of these, there's a technical term for this, we use in management training, which of these underperformance areas are doing my head in most, okay, and I'm avoiding, so, you know, which of these, so choose that one.
Okay.
Some more suggestions. Yeah, any external factors which may be impinging on a performance.
I don't know her that well. So are you suggesting that I sort of forge a relationship in a personal way? Yeah. I think she knows what she needs to do, but she prefers a little bit to coast. Which is okay. You can afford at least one coaster in your team.
But that's what you're thinking. You haven't had that discussion with her.
That's true.
And I think, gentleman's right, what you need to... Has she always been like that, or has it been a gradual decline? Because that's what can happen. People just get fed up and demotivated, possibly because you're focusing on other things. And you think, you know what, they're okay, so I'll focus on someone else. And maybe, actually, she needs a little bit of TLC.
Mine was just... that behaviour, to my mind, was unacceptable, and I don't think she walked out of the room knowing that. Okay. And I think she should be very clear that that was wrong.
Okay, make it very clear what behaviour is unacceptable. Now, how can we make it? So if I say to you, your behaviour is unacceptable, what are you going to say? Why? You need details, okay. The other thing is, I think, if I say to you, your behaviour is unacceptable, and the last time I spoke to you, I said, do you know what, your behaviour is unacceptable, and the time before that, I said, do you know what, I observed you then, and that was bad. It's just going to seem, every time they see me, it's going to be the feel bad factor. It's going to be, now what? Trouble on a stick. You've got to try and make it so that every time she sees you, there's a nice balance of good stuff and bad stuff.
Absolutely. I do understand that. I do have that certain effect on some of my staff members. That is true.
Really?
But it's something that I'm working at. You know, I'm a work in progress myself. You know, I'm not perfect by any means.
No.
So certainly I'm trying to better myself and also trying to better Sandra as well. But she is a bit tough.
Okay. Well, one step at a time. Okay. Some more suggestions for this conversation? Okay, we'll park that one for a moment. Long-term strategies. How can he avoid this happening in the future, especially with the rest of the team? Any ideas? Yes, at the back. Targets, goals, long-term objectives, absolutely. And this morning, one of you said one of the things you liked on this one was defining your own standards. That conversation was about standards, customer care standards. So maybe, you know, you could use the rest of the team, bring her in. Let's define the standards, get her involved right at the very beginning.
And if that doesn't work, disciplinary.
Well, I think you've got to give it a couple of goes.
Let's not shy away from the difficult things.
If the culture's like that, she probably has every reason to think it's okay if she isn't graced with what we call common sense. You know, it's just the standard needs to be explained. Is it clarity? She doesn't understand the style. Is it motivation? I don't know. It may be capability. I probably think not, but she's probably perfectly
Well,
capable.
I'd like to think that my management style is quite clear.
Yeah.
And, you know, people understand where I'm coming from, you know, where I've been and how we get to where we're going.
Yeah, that sounds really clear.
Exactly.
Any more suggestions for long-term strategy? Long-term. How to get a high-performance culture inside your teams so that everybody's... Yes, sir. Define the expectations for the team. Actually, even better, take that forward. Why not get the team involved in defining the expectations together? You know, the more that they're involved. There's an exercise that we do sometimes, and I've scrapped it because it ends up with paper everywhere. And I get tables to make a paper hat, design a paper hat, and they have to write down the instructions. And then they design a protocol. And then what they don't realise is that we hide the protocols and then they have to swap instructions, and the other table actually constructs a paper hat from there. And what happens is when we go through at the end of the debrief, I pretend I can't remember where the original protocol is, the original model is, and I say, where is your hat? And when I say where is your hat, no one ever picks up the one that they've just assembled from someone else's instructions. They always say it's behind the curtain, we hid it there. University, where's your hat? Oh, we put ours at the back. Theirs is the one that they were involved in right from the start. You know, there's a sense of ownership and commitment to it. So if you can bring them in right to the start.
I haven't got a hat.
No, you don't have to have a hat, no. Look, any more final suggestions for Jeff? Lead by example. Any examples of how he can lead by example? What do you think he could do? Stop criticising everyone.
Well, I'm not criticising. I'm managing performance. But it might look to you and shoot to die as if it is criticism. Mm-hmm. But it's not. It's finely honed management.
Well, it's also the universal sort of iconic book now that was brought out in the late 70s was the 1 Minute Manager. And the 1 Minute Manager is a brilliant book because it can take 10 minutes to read on a good night, and if you curl up on the couch, the maximum half an hour. But basically, there's a little bit that gets me thinking. It says, the guy goes in and says to the 1 Minute Manager, so what's your secret? How do you get people to work? And he says, what's it say on that plaque above my desk? And he reads it. It says, help people achieve their full potential, catch them doing things right. So it's trying to motivate, build upon it.
Yeah.
Just build upon what she's doing right. She's probably experienced, she probably actually knows the job. Try and build upon that. You know, maybe get her to lead a team, examining. The easiest one is, where do you think we're going wrong on X, Y, Z? She'll probably come up with loads of things. Okay, get her involved in setting up a working party to look at improving it, whether it's communications or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay. But you don't expect too much from one conversation. That's the problem that we have. We expect so much. We expect the equivalent of a full frontal lobotomy sometimes, a complete personality change. So just perhaps, you know, you've got time to in a managerial way, just plant some seeds.
I'll bring that down. Don't expect too much.
Okay. Right. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much. Right, now look, what we're going to do, these people have come here, again, to see professionalism and excellence. Yes. I want them to see something really good here. So I'm going to call Sandra back. Okay. You've got their ideas. Yes. And what I'm going to do is see you in action. Again, I think you know what your role is now. If Jeff does anything that you think is not going to have a good outcome, is going to be unmanagerial, unprofessional, I want you to shout stop. And at any time, all of you are welcome to either join him or take over.
Yeah, management can be lonely. I'm sure some of you have realised that.
Yeah. We can fetch another chair for you.
Over there.
Don't hold back.
Someone give him a pat on the back.
Is your opportunity.
Right, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Can I just ask another thing about the body language, Jeff?
Yes.
The tie fiddling is actually annoying me now. Can you just leave it? It just looks...
Well, the alternative is quite worrying.
Is what?
Put my hands in my pockets.
Oh, okay. No,
I mean, it's more comforting.
No, I don't like that. It just looks dippy. You know, I can't think of a better word than it just looks dippy.
Dippy?
It looks passive. It looks nervy. Don't do it. Don't do it. Try not to do it. I mean, stick it inside your shirt or something. I don't know.
Stick it inside my shirt?
Yeah. Yeah. Just don't fiddle with it.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Sandra, I wonder if you could
what
just...
she's turned into.
Jeff would like a word with you.
Can. He said
Guess-
I could go on a break.
Guess what? I found Sandra.
Yeah. Oh, good. Sandra.
Hello.
Hello. Take a seat, won't you? Just sit down anywhere. Well, there. Yes, that's it. Sit you down, and we're down. Good. Sandra, I did want to have a conversation with you in light of a conversation that I overheard earlier today, and also some of your performance generally. So it's only going to last about 15 minutes. Have you got time for that now?
Stop.
Yeah.
Why is it only going to last about 15 minutes?
Because as Paul pointed out, the coach is coming at 6.
Okay.
That's right, isn't it?
No, okay.
That is right.
We'll let him off, yeah.
It's just true.
No, okay, we'll let you off with that.
Okay. So have you got time?
Yeah, I can probably squeeze you into my busy diary.
Yes, please. That'd be lovely.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy the Cafe Creme?
Yeah, it's nice today, thanks.
How
Yeah.
many did you have? Did you have your normal 5?
No, 4. I'm cutting down.
4. Good for you. So there are a few things that I want to talk about, Sandra, and you will have the opportunity to put your side of the story as well. I'm not victimising you. What? I know, I hid it quite well though, didn't I? What?
You don't say, but yeah.
That's right.
Just go for it. Just, what questions you... Get engaged.
So not your side of the story? I'd like to hear Nigel's side of the story, wouldn't you, about last night? Right. Okay, so yes, we'll get an opportunity for us both to exchange some comments on what I want to talk about. There are a few areas that I want to go through with you. Around performance, some are hard criteria, some are soft criteria. One I wanted to start with was your lateness. I would hope so, she's a grown woman. Do you know what soft and hard is, the difference between soft and hard?
Look, just look, I don't know.
Maybe she doesn't.
Can I just say, how many points have you got down there? Because...
Well, only 3 and another 1.
No, I'll
2.
tell you what, just for our purposes, choose one.
Okay.
The one that's doing your head in, the one that's most important.
Sandra, this morning, actually, I was in my office looking through the blinds, and I noticed that you arrived 6 minutes after your start time.
Okay.
Well, no, it's not okay. That's the thing. No, that's not okay. Well, it's not okay.
Stop.
Don't stop me. That's not okay. Go on then, if you got it, Paul. Hang on. It's not a one-off 6 minutes. I've got a catalogue of lateness. 3 minutes, 30 seconds, 2 weeks. Oh no, she was on holiday then. Come on. I'm happy to have noticed. Okay, well okay. Sandra, I am happy to have noticed. That's what you said, wasn't it? I'm concerned that I'm happy to have noticed.
Stop, she's going to be confused. Just say, look, I'm concerned you were late, which, so obviously there's a problem.
Okay, Sandra, I'm concerned that on several instances, and I could go through them with you, she doesn't like this very much, that I could go through them with you, that you've been late on several occasions, actually.
You're not very late, though, have I? It's only a few minutes.
It is only a few
What time
minutes.
did Nigel come in this morning?
Nigel, well, he was celebrating his retirement, wasn't he?
He was off his face? What?
He missed the first session, didn't he?
Yeah. Have you had a word with him, have you?
Stop, he's lost control. Keep it focused. Look,
she's
tell you
right.
what, this morning...
Where is Nigel? He's missing the last session as well.
There you go, you say. Okay, you might have an excuse. What about Tom last week? 2 hours?
Yes, but Tom fell down the stairs, didn't he?
Well, don't take 2 hours, does it?
No, that's true. I think he's got 2 sets of... I don't know about Tom.
I was like 3 minutes late.
She's confusing me now. I like your pen. No, I like it. Oh, it's the hand instead. Okay. Oh, 2 hands. I'm on message. Oh, it's intertwining. Go on. Keep going. Now it's a bit of chin. This is good. It's not. You're right.
Just look, you're making it complicated. Just say, look, you were 6 minutes late, you've been late a few times. Is there any reason for that? I'm a bit concerned.
Clear message. Sandra, you're 6 minutes late.
That's nothing, is it?
Well, it's 60 seconds, so 360 seconds, which is true. So I am concerned about this. Is there any particular...
What, are you concerned about me being 6 minutes late?
Yeah, I'm concerned for all my staff if they're late, certainly.
Well, I'll tell the buses.
Oh, it was the buses that was the problem?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Have you thought about getting up any earlier, getting an earlier bus?
Stop. It's always better if the suggestion comes from them. So I wonder what ideas you've got to avoid this.
I wonder what ideas you've got to avoid the buses letting you down in the morning.
Well, I can't do anything about the buses, can I?
No, so what other ideas have you got?
You can stop looking through your blinds every morning.
Stop. Okay, well look, we need to have you in at 9. I mean, we can look at your condition of the contract if we want to in another date, but at the moment, it should be here for 9. That's...
We do need you here for 9. Now, if you're struggling with that for any reason, we can look at the conditions of your contract and the hours that you're working. If that proves to be a problem, we could just have that conversation.
Okay.
We could look at your hours. So what time would you like to start?
Stop.
No?
Well, that's something that you can perhaps put to one side for the time being.
Don't answer that. I'm putting that to one side.
In the meantime, do you have it? What ideas have you got? Because you've got to decide what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And if you have to be there for 9.
Consistent lateness is not acceptable.
Okay, and you've got proof there. So
I've got it written down.
Okay.
I've got it written down. In the wider picture. Yes.
Yeah.
So tell her that. Tell her job. I like that. Sandra, the job starts at 9 o'clock when the teaching starts. Now, your job is to support that teaching through various methods. If you're late, that can have an impact, not just on that first lesson, but throughout the whole day for your work, students, and other lecturers. So it is very important that you are here ready to start work at 9 o'clock. If you're struggling to meet that time, we can have that conversation. And if that's the case, I'll be interested to know from you what you could do to make sure you can be here at 9.
Right, although it doesn't matter, does it? Because Wonder Boy Steve will be in there like a shot.
That's true. That is true.
No, stop. It doesn't matter.
No, Steve is wonderful.
No, I know, but it doesn't matter.
He'll do anything for you.
If any of the lecturers are panicking about kit and equipment, it will be around probably 9 o'clock at the start. It's paramount. No.
Steve, of course, unfortunately, can't be in 2 places at once. And if anybody's going to panic, it's going to be the lecturers at that time in the morning if the support isn't there for them. You understand that, don't you?
Yeah, I understand it, yeah.
Okay. So what could I do to help you be here ready to work at 9?
I don't know, pick me up.
Where do you live?
If it's that big of a problem for you, Jeff. If it's that big of a problem, I didn't say that it was that much of an issue. It's only a couple of minutes here and there.
Yeah, well, I did have somebody mention that you weren't around when their lecture had started. They were panicking a little bit, they were new to the subject, and they really needed some technical support.
Stop. Why not use this opportunity now to motivate us? Say, the thing is, Sandra, I think you probably don't realise, how valuable you are. You've worked here quite a long time, and you can, your presence... Just butter her up a minute. I mean, I'll just ask the question to her. How many of us at work feel over-acknowledged? We've reached saturation point of praise and recognition. Like a soaked-up sponge, we cannot take any more. No, please. Has anyone ever reached that point? Because I haven't. I may be wrong here, but I'm suspecting Sandra hasn't either.
Sandra, you may be unaware of this, but you are a very valuable member of staff. And, when you're here on time, you do your job very well. So
admit, perhaps I haven't told you that, and I'm sorry. Maybe I don't motivate you. I just use the biscuits and the cake.
It's a confessional, isn't it?
What?
But, perhaps I haven't told you that, and if that's the case...
Not perhaps.
No, I haven't told you that,
no?
And I'm very sorry about that. I go home at night, and I stay awake...
Stop, don't lay it away. Don't.
So, yeah, I think that's a failing of mine, and it's something that I'm going to try and get better at. But in the meantime, until I am getting better at that, I want you to know that you're very good at your job. You're well liked. And when you're here, you don't share responsibility. You do whatever's asked of you. You sometimes go the extra mile.
Stop.
Even.
But this is lies. That's
It
not
is,
what
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I'm buttering her up.
No.
Just buttering her.
Don't.
This is all butter, head to foot in
She'll
butter.
end up being completely deluded. Only focuses on what, you know, you could say, you're experienced. That's not a lie. She's experienced, you know, and you know your stuff.
And you are very experienced, and you, of course, know your stuff.
So
She doesn't
we
look
need
very
action.
buttered.
So don't leave it dangling. We need action.
Do I say don't leave it dangling
No,
to her?
don't say that. No, I'm saying that to
You
you.
made me put my tie away.
No. We need action now. So as a result of this conversation, how do you know if this conversation's worked? I'll tell you, she's not going to be late, and she doesn't feel.
She doesn't look very happy.
No,
though.
she doesn't look very happy. No, I mean, you know, how many of us really in that situation feel happy? You've done your best. I mean, if she doesn't, still looks clenched, you've done your best. But to try and end up on a good point, though, say, you know, if I can support you in any way, I will, you know, but you need to be here at 9. And me, I'll tell you one of the most motivating things. When I was at the college, the principal always used to say to me, Viv, I need you in my office this afternoon. I need to pick your brains. I got some problems and I need to share them with you, and you're the person. He was saying it to everyone. I realised this afterwards. And I would go over there and come out with a big fat project under my arm. I was a sucker for it. The only time it didn't work is when he asked me to represent the college abroad. And I was hooked, you know. I thought, oh, me, yeah, good, yeah. Where do you want me to go? He said, I'd like you to go to represent the college in Tomsk. And I said what any of you would have said. I said, where the hell's Tomsk? And apparently it's in Siberia. It's 500 miles north of Omsk, off the Trans-Siberian Railway. So that was the only time it didn't work. So, but, you know, just say, I need to pick your brains. You've worked here a lot. That just works. It kind of works. You know, I need to look at customer care standards. I need to get them up. I need to get the team engaged. You know, let's schedule a meeting so that we can talk about that. I value your input.
Okay. Sandra, I just want to let you know, as we draw to a close, that, you know, I do value your input in things. I think you're very experienced. I think the rest of the team know that. And I think they and I could benefit from picking your brains a little bit about some of the things that are going on within the team and within the department. So I'm going to look forward to doing that next week, and I'm going to put it in everyone's diary for 9 o'clock. How does that sound?
Yeah, unbelievable, but carry on.
Okay, so if we say Monday at 9,
Yeah.
and then we'll have further meetings on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday
Stop.
at 9 o'clock.
It looks a little bit obvious.
Well, we'll have a meeting at 9, so how does that sound to you?
Yeah, I don't see why you want my input.
Well, you're very experienced, you know, you have a lot of ability, you have a lot of skill, you have a lot of subject knowledge. These are all things that everyone can learn from, and I think you have a lot to give, and I want to be responsible for helping you give that.
That's very good. I like that. That's good.
Yeah. That sounds surprised.
Okay.
Okay, so is there anything you'd like to talk about just before we draw to a close?
No, don't think so.
No? Okay, fine. So you'd like donuts tomorrow again, or?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I'll make a note of that.
I have some concerns with you motivating her with, you know, death on a plate. If you could bring in some fresh fruit, I think that would be nice as well.
Or would you prefer a banana and 2 apples?
I don't do fruit.
Don't do fruit. Okay, all right. I'll bring you some nuts.
I'd rather stick with the donuts, to be honest with
The
you.
donuts, well,
Yeah.
they're a nut of sort, aren't they? No donuts, nuts. Okay, yeah, I'll get on to that tomorrow then. So you sure you don't want to add anything or say anything just before we leave?
No, should I?
No, not at all. This is as much your meeting as it is mine. But, you know, do bear in mind that you're very experienced, that I think a lot of you. And, you know, if we can just crack that lateness, I think, you know, you're going to be able to impact much more on the team in the future.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Good. Now, piss
You do
off,
know it's
will
me you're talking to, don't you?
Yes,
Not
yes,
Steve.
I do. Absolute nightmare.
Yeah. Okay. How many out of 10 for that attempt? What do you think?
100, 6 or 7.
6 or 7, not bad. 6 or 7. Well, start to think. Okay, what might have made it 10? I'm going to not make you say that because I'd make myself extremely, you can get lynched for that at the end of a conference day. But what is it else? What other strategies are in the toolbox there that work? Work in the short term, will work in the long term. Don't alienate the staff. Don't turn them against you because you've got an uphill battle if you do that. You know that. And it makes work very stressful. The last thing that they'll want to do then is go the extra mile for you or the customers. So to get them on side and have those conversations in an adult way. And
I felt she was softening towards the end.
Did you?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, a little bit.
You could see it in her face.
Really?
Yeah. Normally it looks like two smacked arses. Only like one smacked arse today.
Okay. Well, okay. Well, I'm sure you'll have a ball on Monday.
Yes, at the meeting. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, thank you for helping me with that. I really do appreciate that, and thank you everybody else who did try as well.
Okay. You can have a copy of the handout here.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
There you go. Copy of the handout. That'll do.
I'll take care of that.
Okay. That was my last spare as well. Okay, that was Jeff. What I'd like you to do, it's all right, I'm not going to ask you to do it now. It's the time of the day that everybody's going. Think about the options on this sheet. Think about the approaches. We do, I know, labour the ask, not tell approach, but that doesn't mean to say tell is out of the basket. One of you here said, you know, this was, in fact, I think it was Tessa, was it? This is unacceptable. Just say it. This is unacceptable. What can we do about it? You know, what can we do to raise the standard here? If you think something's unacceptable, just say it and get used to saying it. And get the team involved in defining 5 out of 5, defining the standards. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What is a good job? And again, I'm just going to leave you with that final model. You know, is it motivation? If it is, and that is the hardest one to deal with. You need several conversations there. Is it capability? Or is it clarity? They don't know what they're doing. Guys, I want to say thank you for coming, but you were sent anyway, probably. I've enjoyed myself, but that's irrelevant. I hope you've enjoyed our sessions, but more so, I hope you took some tangibles from it.